So music is my love language. So then if you stand on stage and you sing to me, I'm just going to love you forever. Speaking of love, thank you guys for being here. It just warms my heart, and it's exactly what I needed this morning, to be here with y'all. It's where I have my belonging, right, with y'all and in the one mind. So this morning, yes, I'm continuing the message toward life, and it is a part of our series of mental prosperity. That's what we're working on today. And so I'm going to share with you something that happened to me last Sunday evening. Some of you may notice that I have a bandage on my knee. I know, thank you. We have some empaths in the room. So, I was taking Toby for a walk, and it's not that he pulled me. I just tripped, as one does, on a rock, I suppose. And there I am, right, and my knee I'm in pain, my knee's bleeding, everything, and Toby came and sat next to me. He's so sweet, so attentive, he just licked me. That's what he did, he just licked me. He's so sweet. So why am I telling you this? What's that? Yeah, I did. Thank you, I did. I got back up. I got back up. But in getting back up, right, there's all kinds of stories that are going around my head. I got a busy week. My spouse is out of town. He's not here to put a bandage on my knee. All of those things. I got a busy week. I've got to get up and take my kid to school and pick him up, and all of these things are in my head. And they were in my head for a while. So this is where I practiced our teachings. Exactly with this knee and how it hurt, and it's still a little bit swollen, I'm not going to lie. This is where I practiced. So I'm going to review them for you guys as I reviewed them for myself throughout the week. So the first one we looked at is emotional prosperity, right? And what we said is that to have emotional prosperity means that we don't deny our feelings, but rather we let ourselves feel them. Just let ourselves feel them. Let ourselves, and the word that we used was awareness, right? Just be aware of the feelings. And then, how about also identify the feeling, name the feeling? Who can do that in real time? I'm still learning. Thank you. I'm still learning, right? And one of the ways we get to that is we have an emotionally rich vocabulary, which means I don't just say I'm good. I don't just say it's bad, I'm sad, right? Those are just like, we say even more emotionally rich words. Because here's the thing about it, when we are able to do that, then we can very often see an underlying belief. And it's the underlying belief that we work with, right? And then what we do with that is we can create the spaciousness and know just because I feel this way doesn't mean that's the truth of me, right? The truth of me is that there's an essence of me that is divine, that is sacred, and I can work with that. Remember, we talked about God's substance and working with that God's substance. So we take that feeling, that underlying belief, and we take the God's substance and we mold and we shape. So we talked about that, and then we talked about physical prosperity. Physical prosperity. And our affirmation last week was, I am the temple of the living God. Did y'all practice that this week? Yes. So when I did the knee, what do you think I said? I am the temple of the living God. Because here's the thing, we will experience pain, right? If you breathe, you will probably have pain in some time in your life. That is a part of the human experience. But here's the thing, that's not the full story. That's only part of it, right? The pain is part of it. I can also choose to know that within me is the divine healing and wholeness that is always moving through me. But when I get stuck in the pain, complaining about it, telling me how it's going to limit my week or prevent me from doing anything, what's going to happen? It's going to come true. And I'm going to be really grouchy all week, right? I mean, really and truly, I'm going to be really grouchy. Anybody get up at 5:45 and take their kid to school at 6:30? You're going to be grouchy. You're going to be grouchy. But that's not how I want to show up for anybody, for myself, for my child, for my life, any of it. So that's the reason I'm talking about the knee, in the skin knee. And as I was doctoring my skin knee, I was remembering one of the many appointments that I took my son to, Theo, for his pediatric appointment. He was a toddler. And the doctor, whom I love, his pediatrician, was looking at his legs. And if you notice a toddler's legs, they're bruised up, they're scraped up. Anybody notice that? And so she was looking at him, and of course I'm a first-time mom thinking, oh no, what is she going to say to me about his knees, right? Is she going to think I'm a bad mom because his knees are bruised and scraped up? What does she say to me? She says, this is great. He's living life. He's living life. So my scraped knee, I'm living life. I'm not stuck on my couch, isolated, right? Anybody ever done that? I'm sorry, y'all. I hear Heather. She said every chance I get. All right. Don't do Heather. No, she crochets. I'm teasing. What I mean is isolating because you're too afraid, because you don't feel worthy, right? Anybody done that? I've done that. Not worthy of connection. Some of y'all are pointing fingers at people. Sorry. I've done that. And it feels comfortable and it feels safe, right? But here's the other piece of it. You're also alienating yourself from your good, right? You're alienating yourself. You're in separation. You're in disconnection from God, from others who want to be your community, want to love you. Believe it or not, they do. They want to know you and even the vulnerable parts of you. So, toward life. That's what we're working on today, toward life. And as you know, every week I like to give you an affirmation. And this week, because I know that, one, I'm audacious, two, y'all are too, you're going to have two affirmations this week. And the second one, I realize I did not put in the sermon notes. So I'll have to go back. Actually, Jan will have to go back and put it in there, not me. I need to give it to her. But the first one is, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Breathe that in. I am the way, the truth, and the life. As you know, that is from Gospel John with all of the I am statements. Breathe that in. I am the way to God. I am the way to God. I know the truth that God is the one life, the one perfect life that moves in and through me. And what was the last one? The life, right? I am the life. I am that divine life. The thing about it is we think that we possess our lives. Who thinks that? My life, my life. Guess what? We don't possess our lives. We don't. Life lives through us when we allow it, when we align with it, when we connect it. Life lives through us. Isn't that beautiful? Doesn't that make you feel more expansive, more free, more creative, that life just lives through you and you really don't even have to have any kind of judgment about it. It's just living through me as me. So there's that. And then what we're going to do is also the next affirmation, and I can't read my handwriting. Here it is. Because I added it. To move toward life, because see, toward life, I must act. To move toward life, I must act. So last week, do y'all remember the words? It was awareness, right? Awareness of the feelings. Get curious about it. And then trust. Trust divine life. Now I'm going to use that and I'm going to move us. We're going to move from awareness to awake. To the awakened mind. See how I did that? I know. I'm so cool. I love it. I know. I get a kick out of myself. So I do. I love it. I do. And then what we're going to move from is curiosity. Remember, get curious about whatever it is that's showing up. Rather than condemn ourselves for what's showing up, let me just get curious about it. We're going to move from curiosity to creativity. Isn't that beautiful? Because remember, how do we create our lives? Through ideas, through our way of thinking, through the mental, right? Through the mind. So that's why we're doing that. And then the last one, we're moving from, and I have it here, we're moving from trust and we're moving to truth, right? Which is, I'm going to trust truth. I'm going to trust the truth that there's one God in the universe, in everything, and in me. That's the one truth. And I can create my life through that with an awakened mind. See how I did that? AC did it again, right? Okay, so I live from an awakened mind. I live from an awakened mind. So mental prosperity means living from an awakened mind. So when we think about our mental health or anything with the mental, it's how we take in information, how we intellectualize. It's the whole of the emotions and the thoughts, right? And in unity, what we learn is that everything in our life starts from the mind. Everything that shows up starts in the mind. Everything is created twice. Once in thought, second in realization. That's the awakened mind, okay? So when we choose to live from that knowing, we will have emotional prosperity. Are y'all with me?
Yes.
You agree?
Yes.
Okay. I had something else. Here's the other piece about it. To live in an awakened mind really means we're choosing a spacious mind, an open mind, right? It is the antidote from living in black and white, right? Right or wrong, and or stuck in judgment. That's another way, stuck in judgment. That's not the awakened mind, is it? It's the mind that's curious. It's a mind that is willing to think the new thought. Remember, that's what unity is. It's a movement of new thought to replace the old self-limiting beliefs with the new thought. The new idea of God. Keep in mind that that's what the Fillmores did. They took what people believed as God to be, and they said, actually, God is this whole other thing that you haven't even thought about. God isn't the being in the sky. God is the energy, the substance, and we live from that. And we do that with an awakened mind. The awakened mind chooses to see all of it and live in gratitude and see all of it as the blessing that it is. The awakened mind knows that the way to God is living from the energy to God. So we awaken to the God consciousness, and we know that that consciousness is always good. That's the awakened mind. So next is the creative mind. In Lesson 6 in Prosperity, and that's what I've been teaching out of in the class, is Charles Fillmore writes, prosperity is not in the possession of things, but in the recognition of supply and in the knowledge of free and open access to an inexhaustible storehouse of all that is good or desirable. Do you want me to read that again?
Yes.
I know, it's a lot, huh? Okay. That's how he writes. That's just how he writes. Prosperity is not in the possession of things. Do y'all agree? We've talked about that already, right? But in the recognition, so in just recognizing, of the supply and the knowledge of open access. That means we can all access it. It's not just favored, people that are favored. Everyone has access to this inexhaustible storehouse of all that is good or desirable. Okay? That's the God energy. That's the God substance. It's already there. It's already there. So who wants to learn how to use this?
Amen.
How do I access it? How do you think you access it?
Prayer and meditation.
Yes? The creative mind. Right? The creative mind. Prayer, meditation. So, the denials and affirmation. Who does denials and affirmations? Oh, I love it. We have a bunch of y'all. And in class, if you come, You're going to get an index card, and we're going to work on denials and affirmations on the index card, because that has been one of my entire practices. So Charles gives us a practice, and he says that we deny the anxious thought. He says, first, the anxious thought must be eliminated. Do your best to release the thoughts that do not support your highest and best. The anxious thoughts must be eliminated. That's a big one, right? Who lives with anxious thoughts? Right? Because here's the thing. If you have a breath, what's going to happen? Yeah, and you're going to have the anxious thoughts. So the practice is recognizing it. First of all, just recognizing, oh, I'm having an anxious thought. We don't condemn ourselves about it. We just recognize it and do our best to release it. Because when we release it, what are we doing? Making room for the new thought, the higher possibility, right? So when my son was really young, I know I've told you the story that when I put him into preschool and he went a couple of days a week, because God forbid if he went more than that, I would have gone crazy. So he started a couple of days a week, and that was hard for me. I mean, it was really hard to drop him off and leave there. So then I realized, wait a minute, if I start now worrying about leaving my son, I'm going to have a really long, hard journey. I'm going to have a long, hard journey, and I do not want to live my life that way, because that's not life. That's not toward life. So I started an affirmation that I still say to this day, and I say it every day. Dale was safe, he is free, he is loved. So simple, right? To know, that's so simple. We are safe in our bodies and in the world. That's huge. We are free in our bodies and in the world. And we are loved. We are loved. We're always loved. And when you know those things, then you can live from that place. So that's affirmative thinking, right? Releasing whatever it is that is less than, and then affirming the unlimited resources using the creative power of the imagination. It's our third principle. Another thing that I did not put in the sermon notes, which Jan will do later, is I know. She got some homework. I know. One that I say often is, nothing can disturb the calm peace of my soul. I am divine peace. And then the denial that is perfect for our class right now in our series is, I release the error belief that I do not have the emotional, mental, physical, and financial resources I need for my life. Wow. Infinite wisdom guides me. Divine love prospers me. And I have exactly what I need to live my highest and most successful life. Yeah, they're powerful statements, right? They're powerful statements. So the I am, the part of I live from truth. Another way of saying this is through the affirmation, I am the way, the truth, and the life. So these I am statements, as many of you I know already know, come from the Gospel of John, right? They come from the Gospel of John. The Gospel of John is my favorite gospel. It is very different from the synoptic, Matthew, Mark, and Luke. As those first three, you will notice they give a biography, right? They give a biography. They start with the beginning of his birth. They even start with, I can't remember their names. Elizabeth. Yes, ancestors. Thank you. They start with the beginning. That is not the Gospel of John. The Gospel of John has a very different purpose. The Gospel of John opens with, you guys help me. In the beginning there was the Word, and the Word was God. So it starts with God, and I say those words, and it just moves me. And then the Word is made flesh and blood and flesh, right? So what are they doing, that gospel? What is the point of it? Mystical union. It's immediately to show there's a union between God and between Jesus. And so Jesus' I am statements are saying, I'm in union with. I am, right? I am. It's the creative power of the word, I am. And so I want to read them to y'all, and because they're a beautiful practice, just saying these statements, and you can say them with me. I am the bread of life. I am the light of the world. I am the gate. I am the good shepherd. I am the resurrection and the life. I am the way, the truth, and the life. I am the true vine. So they remind us of our belonging to the one, right? They remind us that that is always moving through us, that one life. And when we're struggling in the human experience, we can say these statements. And what the statements do is they prepare the mind. Because as you know, it's not just a one and done, right? It's a constant, it's a consistent, it's a ceaseless practice. So you can just open the Gospel of John and look at these statements, prepare your mind, and use them. Because the more you use them, the more you're actually going to live into them. So I want to end with one of our favorites that I read to y'all, and that's Pulitzer Prize winning Mary Oliver. And she has a poem called I Go Down to the Shore. And she writes, I go down to the shore in the morning, and depending on the hour, the waves are rolling in or moving out. And I say, oh, I am miserable. What shall I do? And the sea says in its lovely voice, excuse me, I have work to do. So the poem is a reminder, right, that like the ocean, we have work to do. And it's that inner work of knowing that we're whole and we're holy. We're whole and we're holy. And that is the gift of prosperous living. We are whole and we are holy. Amen.